Hey everybody, Alay Yajnik here, and I'm really excited to be sharing with you today a tool called the Law Firm Blueprint. And this is a digital worksheet, which means you can go ahead and download it from lawyerbusinessadvantage.com if you join the community. So what I love about this tool and the reason I created it was really trying to figure out and help attorneys understand who they need to hire next and if they actually need to hire anybody at all. And there's a few other things that it really helps us figure out. The end result of this is it helps us figure out what the capacity is at our firm and also how we need to change our capacity to meet the demand. And by capacity, I mean how much work the firm can do. And demand is how much work our clients have for our firm. So here's how we sort of architect this. Let's go ahead and, well, let me just describe to you an overview of the terms first. So the things that are in yellow here are things that you should change. If it's not highlighted in yellow, you shouldn't be changing it. None of the cells are protected, so you could change it if you wanted. Just recommend that you don't because there's formulas based on it, and it can cause things to go wrong. So there's an annual revenue target here, which is the annual revenue target for your firm. We're looking at a few different firms. Oh, by the way, this is for an hourly firm. There's also another tab for a flat fee type of firm or contingency firm, basically anything where you're not charging by the hour. So we have an annual revenue target, which is a revenue for the firm that you want to hit. And then for each group here, we have partners, associates, paralegals, and legal secretaries. An average payroll rate, so what they're actually getting paid as a W-2 employee. What I usually do is I mark it up by a bit if they're getting benefits. So the associate's not getting paid 150 bucks an hour if you just take their salary and annualize it, but by the time you factor in payroll taxes and benefits and stuff, it gets up to about that. Unlike the legal secretary who may not be getting benefits, and so it's pretty much 30 bucks an hour straight up. Okay. So those are the different groups. For each group we have a billable rate, so how much they are charging clients for their work, and then the payroll rate, which is how much we actually have to pay them to do the work. The difference between the two is going to be the gross profit rate, which you don't need to put in. And then over here we have quantity, so how many of each of these roles you actually have in your firm. Down here at the bottom is the order of hiring, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but let me just start off by saying, you see this is organized kind of first floor to 10th floor. What I meant by that is first level, second level of the firm, third level of the firm, and so on. Basically, at the first level of the firm, you build it out like this until that group, the demand exceeds the capacity, and then you move on to the second floor. Once the demand exceeds the capacity again, then you have to add a third floor, and so on. You keep building by adding floors, and you move to each floor once you've exceeded your capacity. So the assumption here at the first floor is when you're starting your firm, you start off with a partner, and you have access to a bookkeeper, an accountant, and some form of IT. And this is recommended, by the way. If you're starting off a law firm, make sure you have a bookkeeper. Please don't try and do it yourself. Make sure you have an accountant. Please don't try and do it yourself. And make sure you have an IT resource. Please don't try and do it yourself. Your hourly rate is worth much more than it would cost to bring these people on board. Okay, so how do we use this thing? First off, let's go ahead and set a revenue target. So I am just going to put in, just for kicks, $2 million. So that's 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go, $2 million. And right now we're going to have, let's assume we have a partner. We're not, as a partner, we're going to assume that they are not collecting a salary. Instead, they're just getting the profit. So we're going to leave their payroll rate at 0, so we're not paying them any money. But their billable rate, let's say it's going to be, I don't know, $400 an hour. Okay. So their billable rate is $400 an hour. They're not getting paid anything. So the gross profit, how much we make on them per hour, is going to be $400 an hour. 400 minus 0 is 400. And we are assuming, this is pretty critical, that they are billing out 20 hours per week. If that is not appropriate, you can go and change it. But the way I've set these up is that these are realistic times, assuming that they still have a good work-life balance, assuming they have time for business development, and assuming we don't want to burn them out. So if we assume a 50-week year, which means 2 weeks of vacation, right? That's another assumption. we're making $400,000 if that person is at max capacity. And currently we have one of those in the firm. Okay. We don't have, and so we could do the same thing for associates, paralegals, and legal secretaries, but right now we don't have any of those in the firm, so the quantities are zero there. So you can see our projected annual revenue with one partner billed out full time is about $400,000, which means that we are short about 1.6 million versus our target. Okay. So what that means is we are going to need to add people. So let's say we want to add an associate, and we'll bill the associate out at, I don't know, let's bill them out at 350. Okay, so now we're billing them out at 350 bucks an hour. We're paying them all in with benefits and all that about 150 bucks an hour, and we're going to have a quantity of one associate in our firm. So now you see at full capacity, that associate is going to provide the firm with 300K in gross profit. Right, so our projected annual revenue is 925K. We're still short. We're about $1 million short. So we need to add more. So let's go ahead and maybe add in a paralegal. And let's say we bill out the paralegal at $150 an hour. All right, we're paying them about 35. So we're making $115 an hour on the paralegal, and we want to put one of those into the firm. Okay. You can see now we're up over $1 million, but we're still 850K short. So let's go ahead and add in a legal secretary, and let's bill them out at let's say $100 an hour to keep it even. Okay. And now we're at 1.2 million, but we're still short 750K. So let's add a second associate. And now we're only short 225, and we can add in, if we wanted, a second paralegal. Right. So now we are actually at a $2 million firm, which meets our revenue target of $2 million. And so we're right on track, and we show a gross profit. So on $2 million in revenue, after paying out our labor, we show a gross profit of 1.4 million. That's not bad. And so the way we would fill out the order of hiring is the partners obviously first, then we hire one associate. Okay. At that point, we probably need to bring on payroll and some kind of intake scheduler. So if we're bringing on an intake scheduler, that's probably a paralegal or a legal secretary. So let's say it's a paralegal next. And then we want the legal secretary, just like we typed it in. Now at this point, we've got a partner, an associate, a paralegal, and a legal secretary. It's probably time to add in some marketing consulting to really help us drive the demand and bring in the clients. At that point, we need to hire another paralegal. And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 employees. We need to get some HR support, right? Doesn't need to be, none of these need to be full-time. They can all be consultants, but we need to get some HR support in there just to make sure we're doing everything appropriately and we're managing our risk. And then the last thing we do is add in another paralegal. Okay. So that gets us to the we added in a legal secretary, my bad. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. We added an associate here and then a paralegal. There we go. And that gets us to our one partner, 2 associates, 2 paralegals, and 1 legal secretary. So this is one model that you can have for a $2 million firm. And the way we do it is we first hire, once the partner is at 20 billable hours per week, we go ahead and hire that associate. At the same time, we need resources for payroll, and you can use Gusto or something like that. And we need maybe a part-time scheduler or some sort of robust intake process. Once that associate is billing out about 30 hours a week, then they're basically fully loaded. Then we go ahead and hire a paralegal. Once that paralegal is up to 30 hours a week, so now we've got 20 hours being billed out by the partner, 30 hours being billed out by the associate, 30 hours being billed out by the paralegal. Then we go get the legal secretary. And at that time, we also bring on some marketing help for leveraged marketing like websites and newsletters and events and things like that. Okay, once all of these folks here are all full, then we move on and bring on an associate and add some HR support, probably through a consultant. And once all of these folks are fully loaded and they're billing out, then we bring on that last paralegal and we have a $2 million firm. So that's an example of how you can use the law firm blueprint to create a plan, a hiring plan for your firm that matches demand, that is clients coming in, to the capacity that your firm has. So you're not hiring too fast and you're not hiring too slow. If you have any questions, would love to hear more from you. You can reach me at alay@yajnikgroup.com, and take good care. Talk to you soon.